Well, let's see here. I might not be Morgan Freeman, but this is... Classic Gamer Reviews.
The PS2 is, at the making of this video, the best-selling console of all time. Coming out in March of 2000, the system lasted a total of 13 years and sold approximately 155 million units. In its lifetime, it came out with what can only be described scientifically as a fuck ton of games. So many games! Not all games were released in America, however, and while every system has its share of bad games, a major chunk of the PS2's crappy library was exclusive to Europe. You see, in late 2004, a European-based company called Data Design started making video games. Nearly every game made by them was cheaply made and panned for bad graphics, horrible controls, and even worse, gameplay. These types of games fall under the category of what is commonly known as shovelware, games that are cheaply made, have bad graphics, horrible controls, and even worse, gameplay. However, due to the simplistic style of each game, they sold well in the younger market, and as such, more and more of these games started being made. Oh boy! When the Wii was released towards the end of 2006, it quickly rose to the top, outdoing both the 360 and the recently released PS3 within a year's time. Hoping to cash in on the Wii's success, Data Design started porting nearly every game they made over onto the Wii. With their ports now on the Wii, Data Design decided to introduce their games to an American audience, which in turn started to soil the Wii's reputation. One of these ports was Action Girlz Racing, which was initially released for the PS2 back in 2005 in Europe, but later released here in America on the Wii in 2008. Now, I like to give every game a fair chance, and I honestly went into this game with an open mind, even going as far as to follow the game's advice to get ready by putting on lipstick. So is this game really that bad? Not really. It's on a whole other level of atrocious. What, did you think I was gonna say it was good? Action Girlz Racing features 4 environments to race in: a Fairytale Castle, a pool, a city, and a school. With the school being the worst level in the game, and overall just not really making sense for a racing game. Soon. In theory, I'm sure you can make a school a good racing level, but the problem isn't entirely in the location itself. It's the way that the game prioritizes itself. Take Daisy Cruiser in Mario Kart Double Dash, for example. It takes place on a cruise line, which is one of the last places you'd expect a car race, but this track is a racetrack first and a boat second. In Action Girlz Racing, nearly every location seems to be a place first and a racetrack second. The school level just seems like they took the layout of a real school and just said, fuck it, we're done. We got a racetrack. Let's ride through it. The designs for the other levels aren't any better either. Tight turns and vague directions are a problem universal in every track. Even the themes aren't that good. Like, really? A Fairytale Castle? That's the last place I'd expect a girl who looks like this to be. I'd expect her to be on like a street corner or something, but the level had to be a Fairytale Castle because girls... In a vain attempt to mix things up, levels have a day and night variant, but as far as I can tell, the only level that changes up the track in any physical way through this change is the pool track. Now, I could be wrong, as this just may be a new level entirely, but the back of the box says there's only 4 levels. So I honestly don't know if it is, and a big part of me just doesn't care. All the other tracks, regardless of if it's night, all play exactly the same as their day counterpart. Except it's darker. Well, the school isn't fully a night level, since the developers seem to have left this section of the wall lit up. The fuck is going on? Even if the tracks changed up with the time of the day, I'm sure the layout wouldn't be any better, since the developers can't even get item placement correctly either. If for some reason you wanted to unlock one of the 4 hidden characters, the only way you can do so is by collecting flowers placed around the track. But in some cases, you have to go deliberately out of the way to get these. Hidden items off the beaten path would work fine in a platforming game, but they don't really belong in a racing game. And if you follow these paths, a lot of the time it just ends up being a dead end and you fall far behind. These flowers in the school level lead you directly into a closed door. There's no shortcut here or anything, it's just a closed door. I even tried in the night version of this level and still nothing. In fact, you wanna know what this door leads to? Well, I checked the other side and it turns out that it's just a fucking brick wall. Really? Just kidding, that doesn't surprise me at all. And it's not just the item placement that's bad too. Even the speed boosts fall victim here, as some of them are actually pointing backwards.
That doesn't surprise me either.
Since every kart racer has to have power-ups, there are some of them in this game which, because girls, look like diamonds. Each gives you 1 of 6 powers, which can be upgraded a total of 3 times by picking up more diamonds. You have Nitro, which gives you a boost, bananas, which mess up opponents, mirrors that make you go fast, as well as making you turn invincible, an umbrella that lets you take an extra hit, and 2 types of cell phones that act as your projectile weapons. Don't even get me started on the cell phones. They're deadly as all hell, causing your character to violently explode if hit. At first, I thought they were trying to make a public service announcement on how dangerous using your cell phone when driving can be. Every year, hundreds of innocent lives are lost to the dangers of cell phones. Using your cell phone at any point in time puts you at a 35% risk of exploding. Behind the wheel of a car, that number nearly doubles to 69%. And when you're actually driving, you run a 295% risk of exploding. Don't become a statistic. Don't use a phone. Ever. This message is brought to you and paid for by your local Change Under New Technology organization. But then I realized that the game, more likely than not, needed a generic sexist object to use and chose the cell phone because, you know, girls. But to be honest, the cell phones aren't even your worst enemy in this game. It's the controls. The game only lets you turn using the gimmicky turn your Wiimote like a steering wheel option. A control scheme that hardly worked in Mario Kart Wii and just turns out to be a complete disaster here, seeing as how you can barely control your kart. Help me, I can't control anything! Slightly tilting in one direction will send your character hurtling into the walls with no chance of correcting yourself. There's not much else to say about the controls other than the fact that they feel extremely loose. And seeing as how we're talking about the controls and not one of the characters in this game, loose is a bad thing. But the top offender of this game has to be its presentation. One only has to look at the game to see how bad it is. Bland menus that were most likely thrown together in half an hour, putrid graphics. There is not one positive thing I can say about this game's presentation. Even the screenshots on the back of the box are a mess, showing drivers completely going the wrong way. And I have no clue how they even got those screenshots, seeing as how the AI in this game always does the same thing. And surprisingly enough, none of that involves driving the wrong way. You see, if left to their own devices, your opponents will always go down the same paths and always make perfect turns, to the point of it just being unfair. Until you perfect the horrible controls, the only hope you have of passing them are in the places I like to call dumbass areas. In these areas, opponents will slow down to a snail's pace for some strange reason, and it makes it a lot easier to pass them in theory. I say in theory though, because good luck dodging them and not getting caught up in one of these cluster fucks. But it's okay, because you'll have enough practice maneuvering through these areas, seeing as they always pick the same spots to slow down. That be some good AI. Once you work out the game's kinks though, it becomes a lot easier to beat, and if worst comes to worst, you can just restart your race until you get in first place in order to beat a cup, seeing as how it only starts you over from that track and not the cup as a whole. If you do end up getting first place though, it's not like you're treated to anything good. If anything, you end up getting punished as you're forced to listen to these horrifying sounds that end up just clipping out. The only fun I was able to experience with this game at all came from the physics. Players are often launched into the air with hilarious results, doors open by just flying off the hinges, and trash cans hurtle through the air in such an unbelievable fashion that I couldn't help but laugh. But to be honest, that's where this game belongs. The trash. If you want to have fun with this game, literally eat the disc and have a good chuckle explaining to the doctor why you have a disc lodged in your stomach, because otherwise, I can't think of any possible way this game could give you more than 2 seconds of anything slightly resembling fun. Honestly, I had more fun in my 20 plus hours of playing Ride to Hell Retribution than I did this garbage. In the words of a prepubescent girl's text message, Action Girls Racing, IMO, sucks, 8 = D. Lols. Hey, I'm Chris Jewett, and thanks for watching. I just wanted to say sorry that I haven't been uploading that often. I've just had a lot going on, including such highlights as getting my first adult job and buying a new gaming rig. So expect to see some PC reviews real soon. In the meantime, if you enjoyed the Morgan Freeman voice in the beginning and you want your own personalized message, check out Jason Stevens' site in the description below. Also make sure to check out Freddy Sal Animations, who made my intro for me. Some pretty funny stuff on that channel. And for God's sake, if you made it this far, please leave a comment and rating, because I mean, I played Action Girls Racing for you, and it was just so bad. So bad. Just kidding, that doesn't surprise me at all.